The second series of the day of the War3 Champions Season 6. Who's going to be Happy's opponent in the quarterfinal? It's going to be a Korean, that's for sure. And it's going to be one of the Wook brothers. Mikhail versus ThundeR in a real-life brother derby. Who's going to come out on top? Last time was Mikhail with a very close 3-2. Now it's a best of 3 between them. And we start on Concealed Hill.
All right, let's get into this. The next best of 3. Sorry for the slight delays we've had here so far, peoples, but the great thing is we have so much more time, so much more Warcraft, so much more ground to cover this weekend. We're going to be absolutely spoiled with this Warcraft, I am sure. And let's see what we have here between these two brothers. Mikhail starting off with a ghoul build, and that looks a lot like Crypt Lord to me. Against a standard opening from ThundeR. Yeah, I think we pretty much expected this.
Yeah, we'll see if there's a sort of a fast expansion plays from ThundeR at all. You guys were saying he's been going back to more standard plays recently. Of course, Concealed Hill, not the easiest map to do so on, but we'll see. Especially with that ghoul opener, it does seem to be we might get into 2-base here. But we'll see. Like, I'm wondering how often these two play each other. Of course, not often in tournaments, but do they play practice games? Do they meet on ladder often? Is there some sort of metagaming going on at all with the first hero picks, especially on the side of Mikhail? So we'll have to see. There could be a lot of curveballs, as we've come to say quite often, thrown. But of course, the Crypt Lord will be the starting hero for Mikhail.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? That Mikhail, of course, former Lucifer, ThundeR, formerly known as Mikhail, he basically took the nickname off of him. But of course,
Michael's brother Michael.
Michael's brother Michael, indeed. Opening up with an Archmage here. Pretty standard as well.
Really like the base build here by Mikhail, by the way. Shop pretty accessible, but also somewhat safely tucked away, close to the Acolytes for repair, and one forward Ziggurat you can upgrade into a Narrow, which is able to reach out kind of in front of the base, but not overexposed. So double thumbs up from Architect Remo for this base build. Only thing missing in the back is a graveyard to nicely wall off those Acolytes. And then we're looking Gucci as we have Crypt Lord coming out, gonna try to creep this expansion sooner or later. But ThundeR with the first somewhat unusual move to go for this lab creep here. If he finds big invul, big mana, he can apply a lot of pressure to the undead while he's trying to expand.
Yeah, this is an early level 3 creep route, so perhaps just a 1-base play. We don't see that 4th farm yet. Maybe we could even see it at the lab, though, to be fair to him. He does get a greater healing. Not the best, but still an acceptable item to keep this Archmage a little bit safer. And then we'll probably see ThundeR maybe go up. If he goes up, he's looking to put a lot of pressure on. If he goes down, maybe there could still be an expansion in the future for him. Of course, Mikhail does have all of his summons now. He got a Mantle of Intelligence. And he's going to get the expansion crept out safely for now, but will the gold mine be planted safely if there is a level 3 Archmage coming across in a minute or two?
He bought a Dust. Why do you think that is?
But that's kind of interesting. Just a safety precaution in case there's a cloak, but it would be a little unorthodox, even if ThundeR crept his camp that gets him the cloak, as we see the militia going down to the turtles. It'd be unorthodox to go and pick up the item before going across the map, so just to be safe, I assume, but there's not a big chance of the Archmage having that cloak. I like it, though. I like how safe he's playing.
Remo,
you passed the
did
test,
that.
Carson. You passed the test very well. Exactly. I was about to point out it was a rhetorical question because he always does this. Yeah. He's been, not always, but recently he's been doing it for the cloak precisely. And when I saw it the first time, I couldn't figure it out. I was wondering why might that be? But yeah, it's actually a really good pickup. If you impales around that AM and he hides there in the shadows, it's a big problem if he has the cloak. But yeah, guess what? We don't have a human fast expansion. We don't have an undead fast expansion. We're just going to tech up now on 1 base each, which is very unusual to see and somewhat uncharted territory in this matchup with these heroes.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that as well. We saw that in the ESL Cup on Monday already, where Mikhail kind of introduced that to us. But now ThundeR is introducing some damage to this base.
This graveyard cancel is, decent. You do want some fiends. He's maybe even going to want 10 towers to defend these footmen and these water elementals in the future. You never know what you're going to need against the pressure of ThundeR. And now, ooh, Thunderbolts and Lightning, and the staff is coming off, but there is another Impale, but of course, the staff is shorter than the cooldown of said Impale. A couple of footmen taking a little bit of damage, but the ghouls are not minding. The acolytes are running around town. One's going to fall potentially, as well as one ghoul falling already. This is pretty good damage from ThundeR, and he's got that greater healing still. How many water elementals does he have? Not another one. If he had one more, this pressure could be even bigger than it already was.
Yeah, decent attempt here by ThundeR. He killed one acolyte, or two actually, and that means only 4 mining at the moment. Mikhail needs to micro these acolytes. Ooh, losing that one was a big mistake. That is not supposed to happen. Mikhail's defense here, his control, not super clean, and that's going to cost him. This could have been defended quite a bit better, but Mikhail showing some errors, and that's going to cost him dearly. Gold-wise, it's going to put him quite far back, but it also cost ThundeR something. Cost him a couple of footmen, of course. And now that the Crypt Lord is level 3, he can creep super fast. I would love to see Mikhail now creep some ambitious camps, like go for your lab, and then go for your red camp, because with a level 3 Crypt Lord, you can do that.
Yeah, so far it's about 400 gold difference, and it will be a little bit larger. And of course, Mikhail has to reproduce 2 acolytes, so 150 added on top. So a decent harass on top of that ghoul, probably about 1,000 net gold from that harassment. Of course, a lot invested for ThundeR as well, and a couple of footmen, a lot of mana, a lot of time, of course, but still, the harass is continuing. Mikhail getting closer to level 4, and that's going to help him out quite a bit. But the graveyard seems to be the target again, and that means no slaughterhouse, that means no fiends, no gargles, not that we would see them most likely. And the harassment is pretty good. This is an interesting style of pressure from ThundeR.
And it makes so much sense. It's so rare to see. You know, earlier I commended this base build, but ooh, that Impale wasn't the greatest, only hitting 1 footy. But maybe nowadays, if you play one base, you want to have, I don't know, ziggurats in front of your graveyard, because this graveyard cancel is so painful.
Right.
It means no fiends, but more importantly, it means no statues, which is the backbone region for Undead from the mid-game on. And yeah, this costs a couple of footies every time. ThundeR, what's he doing behind this? He's staying on tier 2, going into priests. Thing is, for the human, it's really hard to effectively creep anything, whereas Mikhail with beetles can do so very easily. So I guess ThundeR has to keep playing aggressively now.
Dual Sanctum, you know, I gotta say, you didn't sound too surprised when you said he was going into priest. Is this common, Dual Sanctum? You generally would see just Rifle Caster here. This is not something I've seen too often. Is Priest Breaker against the Crypt Lord standard, somewhat?
Problem with rifles is they can get really demolished by Impale. Even the new Impale is still pretty good, especially with Nova coming in later. I do like the Double Sanctum just because of what it gives you timing-wise. If there's going to be a scuffle in the middle of the map, having 3 priests quickly with adept training, absolutely crucial against beetles, which with only 1 Sanctum would take you forever. But ThundeR now, he's going to call the Militia, and I like this move. Like, he's got so few units, he can't creep well without Militia, so he's going to use the Militia, creep the Natural, get level 2, and then try to expand here. And that's why he's going to need the Dispel right now to hold on against these beetles. What's the adept training saying?
Look at the
finishes
timing.
perfectly.
This has been such a clean game by ThundeR so far. The harass was beautiful. The creep route was nice. Now the timing on that Dispel and the towers coming up behind it, the pocket towers. I feel like we don't see those enough as opposed to how often we saw them back in the day. The clap is good. The claws could be transferred from that Mountain King. And Mikhail's probably going to have to back off. He's only got 1 coil. He's got a lot of Impales, but he wants to get that 6 experience before using them. There's 1 coil. That's a surround, though. There's no town portal. What the hell is going on? Is it just a dead Crypt Lord, perhaps?
Oh, a little over-eager. Didn't pay attention to the first hero, but he does get out. But for how long? Stormbolt finds him again. Crypt Lord is absolutely going to die here. Gets off 1 more Impale. But that level 4 hero loss, along with the losses from earlier, might seal the game here for Mikhail. He has to Tavern revive the Crypt Lord. He's going to reach tier 3 in a moment. Only now the Slaughterhouse. Behind this also, he kind of forgot about that part. He's going double Slaughter, which could work out well for him. If he makes it to A-bombs, he could still win this game, even being down 1 base versus 2, because ThundeR's going to be stuck on tier 2 for possibly the whole game now.
Yeah, and ThundeR's now power building his blacksmith. I can only imagine that's because he smells destroyers potentially on the way. Yeah, mortar teams, of course, will be good in the future, but for that, he's not going to need it for a while until that expansion is up. But so far, clean play from Thunder, a couple of mistakes from Mikhail. He's getting his Lich out now, those double slaughterhouse you mentioned before, but he's gonna be a while before he gets online. And in the meantime, Thunder's gonna be mining on 2 bases. What's the Lumber looking like? Lumber's great for Thunder, so all things considered, not having that level 3 Mountain King, probably the number one thing that's missing right now for Thunder. And Mikhail is missing quite a bit more than that.
It makes a lot of sense here for Thunder to keep playing aggressively. This is still a very winnable game for Mikhail. If he gets triple hero, he creeps up the map, he gets like 3-4 more level ups. This could absolutely still be his game. But now it's going to be time for him to return the favor, be aggressive himself here for the Undead. One Impale could be wonderfully lined up, but he doesn't quite have the mana yet. Gets level up on the DK, that gives him the aura. That's a big deal. Lich coming in as well, and now the Undead scary triple hero is here.
Water Elementals are putting in work against the ghouls, but the Mountain King might just be dead here. Impale, and there's no Nova needed. Town Portal could not be passed on time. The priests were not there to heal. All the footmen kind of being traded for at least a couple of ghouls, but that Mountain King, luckily for Thunder, he wasn't on level 3, but now he's not going to be able to get level 3 until he returns from that altar, and we do have double workshop coming up. I suppose just to have the immediate opportunity to counter the destroyers. We're not seeing mortar teams quite yet, but yeah, it's just flying machines at a double workshop on tier 2.
Yeah, that is quite expensive and possibly a waste, but also probably very much needed. If suddenly 3 destroyers show up out of nowhere and he doesn't have gyros, that's going to be the game right away. And this is where Mikhail now has the upper hand. This human army, outside of heroes, isn't that good. It's priests, it's breakers, it's gyros. If Mikhail just goes into lots of A-bombs, he can very well still win this game with a big supply deficit if he has the levels to back it up. And that's where this MK hero loss hurts now quite a bit. Maybe Thunder shouldn't have crept that lad, but rather just stayed outside Thunder's base, outside Mikhail's base, and just contain him and just threaten the creep jack. Because now he's giving the red camp to Mikhail, and if Mikhail morphs one destroyer, he can creep so fast here and conceal them to base.
Yeah, no second improved lumber harvesting yet. Oh, that Mountain King might be trapped. The weirdest trap ever that would be. Oh my god. That's so unfortunate. That is a very stuck boy. Okay, he's gonna kill the farm. But yeah, no extra improved lumber harvesting that you can now get on tier 2, of course, for Thunder. So he's a little bit shy on lumber, but he's starting to even up now. He's going to be supply blocked after that farm, but he's reproducing it. Unfortunate time loss. That could even, yeah, it does give Mikhail the time to creep the red and gets the Cloak of Flames. Not too bad, but of course against the Breaker it's not going to be ideal, but it might, more importantly, give Mikhail the opportunity to take a second red camp. That Thunder now has the forces in the way of the flying machines to creep that red camp if he desires, but he's not going to be able to get this, at least this one dragon, I don't think.
Another big item here for Mikhail.
Oh my god.
Oh, last hit, not quite stolen. Mikhail gets it. And the Scourge Bone Chimes, which is going to be amazing for the A-bomb. It's going to be so hard to take him out. The Lich has taken quite a bit of damage. MK with a Stormbolt could be dangerous. Doesn't quite get in range of the third hero. Impale on the AM. He does have an Invul Potion. Lots of damage onto him. Of course, the Gyros take out the Destroyer right away. Cryptlord in trouble again. But there's Coil's Landing and no Orb of Fire to reduce the healing.
Yeah, really the army composition. Oh, I'll save that thought. The couple of heroes getting kind of low. There is a Coil. There is a Nova as well. So Thunder has to be a bit careful, but the priests are putting in work. You got to be careful with that Cryptlord as well. There's going to be a Coil, though, of course. There's going to be an Invul potentially passed. And Mikhail seems to win this exchange. But what I was going to say is, you pretty much just have to stick to Fiend A-Bomb Statue, right? Because the Breakers would counter any potential Banshees. There's enough anti-air for any potential Destroyers. And there's even a tower being built at Mikhail's expansion. So Thunder going to stop him from ever getting that, at least at the natural. So yeah, this could be a wacky army from the Undead in the future.
I don't mind Mikhail's position too much. Of course, easy for us to see. We see there's no tier 3 for Thunder. On tier 3, the human would become a lot more dangerous, but Thunder is not trying to take that risk, trying to invest those resources. Mikhail could just play passively and macro up to 70 supply A-bombs at some point, but now he's going to go in and try to do some damage before that. He doesn't have a TP, but he has Invul and Heal Scroll. And the big problem for Thunder is, outside of MK, he just has no damage.
Yeah, the rifles are generally pretty good against the A-bombs, just damage-wise. They're good against the statues, of course, as we see one go down to that pair of Breakers. the duo there taking care. The tier 3 tech coming in now. Of course, there can always be, Sorcerer's Transition, which we are seeing a couple come out, which is pretty good. I think he needed those a little bit earlier, Thunder, but he's got to hold on for now. The tier 3 tech could give him Griffins as well in the future if there is an overcommitment to Abominations, which is a very classic sort of counter play by the human. We'll see. There's no invuln on the Death Knight. There is one on the Crippler and on the Lich, so potentially a hero focus on the sustain on the Death Knight of Mikhail. And then we're going to see it. The heal scroll is their potion invuln pass, and it is going to be used. A nice save from Mikhail.
Just barely enough to save the DK. Now the MK is going to be the one in trouble with the Nova. He's taken out. Man, if he had just survived a little bit longer, he could have killed the DK, but the DK gets to the shop. He can buy a new heal scroll. He will do so. No, Invis potion. Oh, but there's gyros in the air, bro. That's not going to save you. But he's fast enough to make it away. What about the Lich? Is he fast enough? And you mentioned the Storks, and I think you're absolutely right. They should have been here sooner, and we still don't see them. Slows in the mix could have made a huge difference.
Yeah, because there's never going to be destroyers, really, with this amount of flying machines, and there's always going to be an opportunity to get up to 12 flying machines within a minute, within 2 minutes even, and there's a tower coming up in the middle, but the gold mine is being haunted for Mikhail, and the pressure is being put on. And level 5 Crypt Lord is no joke. This nuke is terrifying. We're probably going to see it in action. There could be an Impale. This Archmage, I think it's just dead, Remo Demo. It's dead and a half, dead city, and that could be game 1 going to the undead brother.
The good old undead hero nuke does it again. First taking out the MK, then going for the AM. Thunder not there, looking in time. Maybe a stack a little bit too late. He's going to reach tier 3, but he's not going to be doing that in time for game 1. Mikhail claims the 1-0 with a good comeback after a bit of a sloppy start.
What a slobber knocker this was. What a wonky game between the two. Cool opening by Thunder, and I think it goes to show that he really loves this between tier 1 and 2 aggressiveness that he also plays against Orc, where he goes for a lot of burrows, and here he tried to cancel the tech, or like the 1.5 tech with the Graveyard. It worked out well, delayed the Fiends by so long. Got a good pickup on the Crypt Lord, but couldn't just seal the deal. A couple of mistakes here on both sides. Maybe they are a little nervous playing against each other. And Mikhail, at the end, it felt like, okay, he was warmed up, and this is the real Mikhail now.
Yeah, there was a couple mistakes, of course, from Mikhail at the beginning, and Thunder was playing, as I pointed that out, very cleanly in the beginning, and then it sort of flipped around, and Mikhail started to micro very, very well, and Thunder started to make a couple of... Honestly, the micro wasn't the big issue. The Mountain King nuke maybe could have had an invuln, the potion to save him, but, hard to save against Impale Coil Nova when it gets that high level. But I think the macro was a little bit bigger of an issue. No Storks early on, double Workshop, perhaps an overcommitment, as Remo was maybe pointing out, and tier 3 tech maybe late as well, and the Lumber was shy, I think, and that's why the tier 3 tech was late. So macro errors more than anything. Maybe if he can fix those couple of things. I think the early game, the micro was good from Thunder. He probably has some easy adjustments to make for a player of his caliber into game 2.
Yeah, we'd love to see a Shredder that game as well. He cleared out the lab so early, but honestly, in that kind of game, it's not easy to do because you're taking on one base, you're not going to have the resources early, and then you're expanding early on tier 2, and then you're only going to be concerned with surviving. Pump out priests, breakers, gyros, and just make units, trying to not die to undead tier 3. But yeah, it looked good for a while, but I'm not sure about the strength of this build. I think if you play it successfully, you have to have a really good idea about the transition timing. Because if you're stuck on tier 2 human, it doesn't matter if you have 2 bases. The under just outscales you so hard. Maybe just rush to tier 3 first and then expand. That also would give you the benefit of having fast triple hero to level them. But this is a style that Thunder's been playing for a while. Just gonna try it again, maybe on our second map, Blast Refuge, which I think is a much better human map.
Yeah, kind of feels weird, this choice to not play into the human strength with all the additions he gets at tier 3, but maybe that wasn't the initial plan. Maybe he just wanted to get the expo up. We see that from Thorzane a lot as well, that tier 2 expo. But yeah, it was kind of surprising how well and how long Footies and Priest were working. I think that's the first time I saw it. I think we were at the 10 or 11 minute mark and the army was still Footmen and Priests, and somehow it worked. But yeah, that was not your usual undead versus human to open things up.
Yeah, and although the Breakers and the Priests are a great counter to the Crypt Lord, we sometimes see, I feel, although ThundeR, I'm sure, has a very good idea of what he's doing, we sometimes see people almost counter too much into the heroes, right? They want to counter a Blade Master, so they get 20 Banshees to deal with him, and they have 16 invulns on every hero because they don't want to get hero focus. But then they forget about the fundamental units they need to just counter the other units. And the thing with the rifles is you can pivot them into a tier 3 sort of army. You can get Inner Fire, you can get the 3rd attack upgrade, you can throw in some Knights for the front line, but with this Breaker Priest army with 2 workshops early on to counter the air, you're kind of stuck on tier 2 and you don't have an easy pivot going into tier 3. So I do think the rifles are better for this reason, but we'll see if ThundeR sticks with this into game 2.
Oh yeah, the battle of the brothers continues. Same exact ping. ThundeR just confirmed we're at the same location. The ping is precisely the same. Best conditions here, of course, at Korea versus Korea. The older brother is 1-0 ahead. Can he just seal the deal and get another match against Happy that we've seen so many times between them? Or is it time for game 3, which would of course mean more Warcraft, which is of course, as always, more good. So let's go. Boys, have fun on Last Refuge.
I'm going to see a bit of a switcheroo here from Mikhail. This time, he's going for the Ted Fiend opening. That does surprise me. I would have expected pretty much Crypt Lord here all the way through. Maybe with the exception of Autumn Leaves, where I think DK is much better. But yeah, he's going to try it again with Ted Fiends, which, dude, I watch a lot of games. I cast a lot of games. I haven't seen Mikhail play this style in at least half a year. So I wonder how rusty he might be with it, because I kind of touched on it earlier. This is a lot more execution based. This is a lot more micro based, especially compared to the Crypt Lord strategy. So he's gonna have to be on point here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen him even against Orc, and there could be the argument made, is Crypt Lord stronger against Orc or against Human currently? But against Hitman recently, he only played Death Knight 1 of 4 games. He played Crypt Lord every other game the whole time. So maybe in a best of 3, he'll throw it in once. If it goes to game 3, maybe he pivots back to the Crypt Lord. But one thing worth noting that wasn't on Concealed Hill is, of course, the mercenary camp for ThundeR. And maybe Mikhail doesn't want to deal with those mercenaries in his face with the Crypt Lord on top of that level 3 Archmage. We saw how much damage he took last game from this aggression. And with, the Shadow Priest with the Berserker on top of that, it could be even worse. This is a much safer build with that earlier graveyard, with an earlier tech, so you don't risk losing acolytes, halfway through your tech as much. And of course, you have that coil to save them. It's safer against that sort of a play, perhaps, is the idea, but we'll see. It does look like ThundeR's going to go for that Merc camp.
Oh, this could be a disaster. If Mikhail steals a Shadow Priest here, which I think he will, ThundeR cannot creep this. Oh my god, he's going to do it. Oh my god, the Madman. Okay, it's interesting creep, though. He's going to pull out the creep first. He's not going to creep the whole thing. Mikhail gets the Shadow Priest. One Water Elemental is already dead. ThundeR cannot creep this whole thing if he wants to. But he can maybe get level 2. Flute is a decent one for him. Honestly, not the best for the early game, at least. And Mikhail kind of microing with a Shadow Priest. He could have got it a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And now he's not dispelling. Again, the early execution by Mikhail leaves something to be desired.
Again, it was pretty nicely crept by ThundeR with that surround early on. He microed back the low peasant. Did lose 1 peasant and got 1 footman pretty low, which he may have actually lost. So there is a couple of losses, but of course that level 2, as you point out, Illyria's Flute of Accuracy is going to be great for ThundeR. And Mikhail has done what he wanted. He did slow the creeping down by quite a bit, almost to a halt entirely. But it did come with a slight investment into that priest that he hasn't really gotten much out of quite yet, other than stealing it away. It's going to help out his creeping now, and it will help out the harass in the future. But not too bad for ThundeR. Not as bad as it could have gone, I should say.
Yeah, I think ThundeR made the very nice adjustment there of pulling out the cab, realizing it might be a DK coming in. I think this was very well handled by him indeed. But again, Mikhail could have done that way better. He could have gotten the Shadow Priest faster, gotten the Dispel on the Watch Elemental. Normally, when you see this happen, you want to cancel the third Ghoul and get the Shadow Priest instantly and punish right away. That only delays the Ghoul by like 5 seconds or so. But Mikhail didn't do it, and he missed out on a lot of experience and perhaps some killed peasants. He does now get level 2, though. Creeping with that Shadow Priest, as you said, made it a little bit easier, but of course that also delayed the first Fiend by a long time, which is only coming now.
And we do have a 4th farm. We do have Militia coming across. I love when the humans do this. They pressure and they creep at the same time with the Militia. We used to see this on Echo Isles back in the day, but I don't think it's going to quite work out. Thunder maybe going to lose quite a few peasants here. There's a decent number of skeletons. There's one more charge of Rod and Necromancy. The priest not being microed yet again. Sloppy is Mikhail with this priest so far. 1 peasant falls.
He could make the argument that he wants to keep it alive to heal the DK later, but dispelling water elementals early just has a much bigger impact, especially considering if you really, really, really need healing, you can go for the Ritual Dagger, which is kind of a decent item nowadays.
Yeah, it's cheaper now as well, and I think got a buff on the healing that it gives. No level 3 on the Archmage double ring. That ain't the Infi DLC that Thunder downloaded this morning. Toddler rings in the chat, and but he will be able to get level 3 from those couple of creeps remaining at the mercenary camp, so Thunder can't be too disappointed with his early games so far. The expansion was delayed by a little bit, but the pressure that will be coming in after the expansion is safe with level 3 Archmage. Will probably buy him enough time if he keeps the Footman healthy, but he's not going to be able to keep this guy healthy, as Mikhail gets, I think, a 3rd Footman of the game now.
AM did get level 3 though, that's the most important thing. That's the biggest problem for human playing against the DK standard. If you lose last hits, if you don't get enough experience, the Lich shows up at some point and you're not level 3 and you're not close to level 3 either. Having that level 3 now, plus Mercamp access, makes his defense so much easier for Thunder. He's going to use some Dispels as well. He got the next Shadow Priest, Skeletons taken out, and I'm liking this position a lot for Thunder here, gotta say.
Yeah, the priest is doing his job pretty well. There's been no Berserker picked up. Of course, he hasn't had the supply or the gold for a little while, but luckily for Thunder, actually, looking at his lumber, it's very good. And Mikhail just now hitting tier 2 with that Lich, with that Slaughterhouse. It is kicking in. We'll probably see this style of maybe a heavier investment into tier 2 and then a later tech with a couple of statues, 4 to 5 Fiends, I think is generally what we'll see. And a lot of pressure on tier 2 towards the expansion with a later tier 3 tech. We'll see if that's what's going to happen. Right now, Thunder not too safe. He's certainly not out of the woods. The Arcane Tower's not up. He doesn't have a lot of footmen left.
Yeah, perhaps I underestimated the delay of the expansion. It was actually quite sizable. I was mainly looking at the human resources, but the tech still hasn't started, and it's starting to get quite worrying. Thunder also needs Berserker here badly, but that one could fall to call Nova, would be painful. Nice block against the DK. Gets level 3. Time for Death Pact. Just kidding. That would be a bad idea. But he's going to have the level 2 coil now, which is not too bad. And the AM's rings actually do prove somewhat useful.
Yeah, and that aura helping out as well. The first statue is going to be the most helpful thing Mikhail's seen this entire game. I'd be happy to see that one with the low Death Knight. And there is a lot of footmen, but as you pointed out, the tech is delayed. It is coming up now. No lumber mills quite yet, no shop, no blacksmith, so a lot has to still be macroed up for Thunder, but he does get the mercenaries. Wow, he just started teching and already Mud Golem, and of course Ogre Mauler, if he so desires, once he has the gold, could be picked up by Thunder.
Yeah, I love the Mud Golem. Great for putting pressure on fiends, and especially statues if one is out of position, but you have to be careful to micro the little guy. I can't believe he still didn't get the Berserk. Does he just feel it gives too much experience?
But the Death Knight's already level 3, right? Like, you can't be too afraid of giving, level 2 Lich.
Still no Berserker. This is madness.
Maybe it's a target for Coil Nova is what he feels, so he'd say rather, you throw it on the Archmage, throw it on a Footman. He doesn't want it because he knows it'll just be Coil Nova down immediately. Could be the argument to be made, but the Arcane is going to live for now, and it seems as though Thunder's starting to stabilize, I want to say. I don't want to speak too early, because the tier 3 is going to be coming in soon as well for Mikhail.
Defense finally finished, and that means these footies can actually do a decent job. Surround on the Fiend, closed, opened, closed again. Nicely done. Now the slow is coming in from the Mud Golem. What did he slow? I didn't quite see it. It was on the statue, but not too much damage onto the statue. That Mud Golem, you have to be so careful with him. But he did not live a long and healthy life. Mikhail trying to protect the statue as best he can. Did he only make one? That's kind of a clear macro mistake here by our undead, I'm afraid to say.
And the statue now being pressured. Frost armor on level 2. One more Fiend being pressured. But a lot of footmen trade. Of course, Muddy was traded as well. And only one Fiend falling so far. The statue's still relatively healthy. Running a little bit short on mana, but it's done its job. And once tier 3 reaches, he can always morph that guy and give him a promotion. And it seems as though Michael's trading very, very favorably, although a couple of towers coming up for Thunder, the shop coming up as well. The tier 2 is finished, so he's bought enough time to get to the 2 barracks with an Arcane Sanctum, but he's going into 2 barracks footmen.
What is this build? Double barracks footmen, breakers, priests. He's getting the first attack upgrade already on tier 2, excuse me. Waiting patiently for this MK. With the Stormbolt, he's going to have a lot more aggressive potential. I think he was a little overeager with his defense footies, wasn't he? If he kept most of them alive, had held back until the MK is out, he could have really done something. But he sort of threw most of them away and the Mud Golem and pretty much got nothing. Thunder had some cool ideas this game, but I think a few of them backfired, like the one that we just saw here. Also, the early creeping of the natural with the AM away. I think that also was a delay that he came to regret. Because this expansion, it's been standing for a while, but it hasn't mined that much yet. And it's not a tier 3 rush. Normally, human wants to rush tier 3, get out the Knights and Pally, and then you can finally push back this undead army. With only tier 2, it's going to be extremely hard to do so.
Had a TP away there, but does force 2 coils, not able to TP to his shop, though. So he's going to have to heal up with that Shadow Priest back at home. The Mountain King is now here. The towers are being pressured. I love the Acolyte, by the way, from Mikhail to heal up the statue that took a lot of damage from that Mud Golem earlier. But where are the footmen? We've had 2 barracks. Okay, now it's riflemen coming out off of 2 barracks. But I was going to say, the footman numbers are not healthy despite having 2 production buildings for those suckers.
Signs look worse and worse here for Thunder. Just the tier 2. I don't know if that's going to cut it. Sort of the story of game 1 already. He's going to force the TP here on the DK before too long. AM took a lot of damage. And finally he's going to get a Fiend kill. Man, that took forever, but Thunder finally claims it. Mikhail, though, still with a respectable army. He's got more statues coming. And destroyers, possibly soon to morph. There is a counter to it with rifles, but it's only tier 2 rifles.
Yeah, now the orb coming in, and this will be level 3 Lich. Almost level 4 Death Knight as well. Could probably take the shop next, but of course Thunder has his eye on that too. Could also steal away the invuln. Let's get an invis pop, perhaps a misclick, perhaps a fat finger by accident, but not too bad to save that hero in the future. A heal scroll wouldn't be too bad against the level 2 Nova that's going to be online now. He does actually get 4-3 from that camp alone with the heal ward, so now this is a terrifying undead force for Mikhail.
Nova on the MK is going to have to use one of those potions quick. It's the heal pot. DK in trouble as well. DK might be in true trouble indeed, but level 2 Aura speedily gets him away. Sorceress is now coming in, the slow, very effective. MK though still has to be very careful. Makes it back to the shop, perhaps time for a new TP. Boro coming in, has to buy the dust. And there could be some Fiend kills. This might be the way back into the game for Thunder if he doesn't lose the MK. Invis potion, and there it does save him. No, it didn't. Oh. How did he die?
I don't know, the dust was purchased on the side of Thunder as well, but I guess the Fiend shots killed it after he was invis?
Do they not disjoint?
I thought they did. Maybe
there was no sentry here.
We don't really see invis too often against Fiend shots, do we? Other than Windwalk, of course, but you don't generally see it, so maybe it's just dead. It's just dead, but it's back now.
That's weird. I guess it doesn't disjoint. I could have sworn it did.
Yeah.
Learning new things every day. Mikhail with a Dark Ranger now. Can be very scary against these rifles, of which we still don't have many, by the way. First A-bomb is coming out. Disease Cloud already researched. Mikhail finds the big invul potion, which can be very good at the red camp. ThundeR needs something big. He found the Cloak of Flames, which I don't think is going to be too much use. If the MK goes too far forward, he's going to die.
Oh, he might be dead right now. Okay, the Nova, luckily for ThundeR, was used on a Sork before he saw that Mountain King, Mikhail. But one unit falls. The remainder of the red camp will go to the Undead. But ThundeR gets out for now. Going to tier 3, perhaps too late yet again, though. Only 48 supply on essentially a tier 2 army for now. The Orb, the Staff, the Paladin, I don't think is going to make a huge difference if Mikhail just marches straight to that expansion right now. And even the first Abomination with Disease Cloud, that's an incredibly strong army right now.
Perhaps too strong to deal with. ThundeR's tier 3 on map 1 wasn't good enough, wasn't fast enough. How is it this time? He reaches tier 3 right now, but not too many resources to spend. He could hire a Paladin, would put him into upkeep right away, but he needs to do something. He needs to do something right now. MK with the clap. Oh, it's only level 1. It's not that scary. He's getting Nova'd, gets off the dust and the potion. Can he still get away? Coil might finish the job with the Fiend shots. The MK falls, and that is it. GG. Game. And 2-0 and the win for Mikhail.
That was not as close as I expected this time, to be honest. It was a pretty clean win in both maps. Mikhail had a little bit of a rough, very early game, but afterwards took it pretty convincingly, always had the right answers to the challenges that ThundeR presented him with. And just like that, we got our first quarterfinal of the War3 Champions Season 6 Grand Finals, and it's 2 Undeads, and here we were thinking that this race is literally unplayable, eh? Thinking that DK doesn't work anymore, eh? All false, as we have Happy versus Mikhail coming up.
And here we see the regions clashing again. Happy already was able to defeat 15 Sway, at least on one map. Happy's again going to have a bit of a ping advantage, which, by the way, was in the rules before, so Mikhail should have known this coming in. They have met quite a few times before, especially in the ESL Open Cup. Normally, it goes only one way, Happy's way. But there were some encounters, there have been some precedents where Mikhail was able to win and beat Happy, but it's been a while.
Is he going to go Undead? Is his race locked in? Because he did go Orc. It didn't go great last time they met.
I think that was a European Grand Final, right?
Yeah, that was the European ESL Open, and he played Orc the first 2 games, and it was a complete disaster. And then he asked if he could change races back to Undead, and Happy obliged, and he got destroyed again. So it was a very, very, very clear affair. But
all right,
maybe this time's going to be different.
We're definitely going to see Undead. Maybe Night Elf. Maybe we'll see Night Elf from Mikhail. Maybe.
Right. We saw a $5 donation by Brooke Perry. Let's go 5K, he says. We're getting close, $802 away from the big 5K, where Governor, the wonderful man, if we reach the 5K, he's contributing $2,500 on top of that. That would make it 7,500. Absolutely wonderful. As we said in the early stages of this broadcast, we are here for 3 days, and here's the schedule. We're done with the first 3 topics. We're going to get our first quarterfinal afterwards. It's time for the very first 2-on-2 of the Season 6 finals. The very first 2-on-2 finals that W3 Champions does in the already legendary team of Sonic and Muscle Mike, facing Lawlight and so on. That's gonna be quite something, I'm sure. And afterwards, we continue with the one-on-ones in Craft versus Dice and Lawlight versus Death Note Plus the second quarterfinal. So day 1 already packed. You see, tomorrow we continue with more 2-on-2, with more one-on-one, with Infi and Fly joining the ranks, as well as the only American representative in the one-on-one, or North American representative, I should say, in Insup in the mirror match versus X-Lord. So lots of stuff coming to your home screens, and you should support this one. Matcherino has the War3 Champions Season 6 contribution page. Whatever you do, it helps, whether it is €1 or 100 or just the Twitter quests here on the right hand side of the Matcherino. Everything is amazing, just as buying Warcraft 3 Champions merchandise. The joke did that. Bought a t-shirt, you wonderful lad. We throw you into a 4-minute break to give you time to contribute, and then it's time for Happy versus Mikhail. See you in a bit.